I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're delving into a wonderful book called Text Messages to My Sons, Connecting Deeply in a World of Devices. It's written by a remarkable author. Her name is Tammy J Cohen. In this digital era, Tammy reveals how she revolutionized communication with her sons, turning everyday text messages into powerful tools of connection, knowledge, and love. Her book is an inspiring call to action for parents and loved ones everywhere to harness technology for deeper emotional bonds. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank our team at Bookside Press for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her important book. The links are below this interview. Tammy, great to see you here today on Spotlight.
Well, Logan, that was such a great introduction. Thank you so much for having me. I'm truly honored to be here.
Well, I'm honored to have you. This is an important book. All of us, unfortunately, are guilty of being like this for untold hours a day. And we're kind of leashed to it now. It's the way we make our livings in many cases. Every email is important. It could be a client, it could be your boss. We're working remotely. That's given us some freedom, and it's shackled us in other ways. But when it's young kids who are constantly on their phones, you need to find a way to break through, and you have. Tell us about the Tammy Cohen method.
Well, it's really interesting because I I went through a bit of a metamorphosis myself.
Mhm.
A couple of years ago, I was at a place where I wasn't really happy with me. I didn't like the person I was. I wasn't very happy. I was working, I was traveling a lot, but there was a lot of things that came from my own origin story. And I was thinking a lot about my relationship with my kids.
Hmm.
And I said, I wanted to change the conversation. I wanted to change the paradigm of the relationship. I wanted to find a way to connect with them in a different way. And I realized that everybody's on their phone. I
Hmm.
mean, and I don't look at devices as necessarily a good or an evil thing. They're a device.
Right.
I look at what the content, the messaging is where it can go really haywire, or it could be used in a more productive way. So I decided that I was going to take the initiative and make it a point to send them a message of love, of inspiration, how much I love them, how
Hmm.
worthy they are, that they're valued, they mean something very important. And I also wanted to take accountability to them and explain myself as a human being and some of the
Hmm.
things that I did that weren't necessarily right in the way I reacted to things. But I also wanted to share with them knowledge because there's so much misinformation out there. And I was in a place. I mean, we all were during the pandemic where we had some time where
Hmm.
we started thinking about things and reevaluating things. So I was doing a lot of coursework and masterminds and reading some really great books by visionaries and luminaries, and I wanted to share it with them. I wanted them to know what I was doing. And what happened was it really started changing up our conversations, but also I had no expectations from them, Logan. I didn't expect them to answer. I didn't expect them to anything from them. I
Hmm.
just wanted to reach them where they were at. And I knew it was the phone. That was the way to go about it. So that's how it really all began. And yeah, over time, I was sharing with people what I was doing with my kids, and they were like, wow, that's amazing. You should put it in a book. And I was just
Right.
like, I never started out to be an author. I never thought about it. I just was texting my kids.
Yeah.
But hundreds of texts later, yeah, the idea started taking root, and I self-published text messages to my son.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea because, it can just be background noise or it can be something meaningful and important. So you decided, like you said, the device itself is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. It's how you use it to put some good stuff in there. And I think also our children look at us sometimes one-dimensionally, that your
Mhm.
mom or your dad, and they're not looking at what you're reading, what you're studying, what you're working on, that the different aspects of your life. So as your children get older, it's good for them to know that you have these interests, right?
Yeah, well, there are studies that show that especially the age group of 18 to 30, there's a lot of that group that's going through some hard times. I mean, there's a higher rate of depression, addiction,
Hmm.
suicide even. It's a very interesting thing. They feel disconnected in a lot of ways, and they're getting all of their worth and their self-value on how many likes or how many followers. And there's just so much indoctrination and hatred being thrown at them also on these devices, besides everything else that they're trying to sift through. So you're right. For me, what actually was interesting is I became more of a human being to my kids because I was accountable.
Right.
All of my texts before, all of my messages when they were growing up, and they had phones because my kids are, because they're a little older, they didn't get phones when they were really young. They got them as they were closer to, walking home by themselves from school. We live in Manhattan. So for them, it was around 13 at the time. So I would make sure they had a phone so that I could keep track with them. But everything was a reminder, a reprimand, or a command. You know how texts are like, where are you? What do you want? You want money? Like, you forgot this? Like, it was never anything that was connectful. It was never love.
Right.
And
in fact, they were dreading your text messages, probably like, oh God, mom wants me to come home. I forgot to walk the dog or whatever
like
it is.
Something. Yeah. And you know what? They would answer with these 3-letter acronyms that I didn't know what it meant. I had no idea what they were talking about. But now it's like they do respond. But what's even more amazing to me is they wrote the foreword to the book because it matters to them getting these texts. And they wrote how they feel about it. And they told me they feel bulletproof. They feel that they could have a tough day, but they know it's going to be fine because there's somebody who actually takes a moment, who loves them that much, to send them inspiration. And you know what? That means everything. And when I move on to my next chapter in my life, God knows, they're going to miss those messages. That's what they're going to look at. That's what they're going to remember. It's that simple.
Give us a couple of examples of messages you might send.
Well, my messages, all of them start off the same way, which is good morning, sunshine. And that comes in the song, You Are My Sunshine.
Yeah.
So I wasn't like good morning and I named them or, like by their names. I sent each son a message.
An individual text.
I don't group it. And I also didn't make it about my son because I know people doing with their daughters, with their loved ones, with their spouses. It's just about reaching out to somebody you love and connecting on a different level because they're looking at their phones too, right? And it would always be something like something that I noticed, or I would talk about the importance of the brain and letting your brain rest, and looking out the window and looking at the nature, or something even the matter of about failure. There is no failure. It's learning, like something where I would show them that there's a lot of ways to go about things. One of my messages was always about the road and how the road is not smooth. There's potholes and sometimes it takes a turn. And sometimes it goes here, but that's okay. It's life. It's part of life. So what I always found was that I try to share a quote of something that was really thought provoking, but also, or some kind of work that I was reading, that I was learning about from, and it was about sharing knowledge. But every message is signed with how much I love them.
Yeah.
And from this life to the next, from all the lives in the past, from across the galaxy. And I have 3 emojis in the book. So the book is the first book ever written in text message format, which never really existed before. It's a very easy read. And there's 10 chapters. And each chapter has a title, like the first chapter is mindfulness and gratitude. So all the chapters that apply, all the messages that apply to that chapter are there. So it's very easy for people to go from chapter to chapter because there's no story, and look at the messages that matter most to them and share those. If you don't know how to write a message, if you're not good at it, I have a lot of dads who want to do this. Like, take a message, tweak it, just start, because it's 5 or 10 minutes of your day and it changes your day, not just theirs.
Exactly. Do you feel like your digital communication, by that improving, has actually improved your face-to-face communication? Do you feel like your sons are more likely to open up to you, to take you to dinner, to talk to you, that kind of thing?
Well, the good news is that 2 of my sons live downtown and one son's still at home. Okay. And we have Friday night dinner together. They come uptown, they come to dinner. We meet I have a restaurant also on the Upper East Side. So they come and they meet us at the restaurant, and I'll go and have brunch with them downtown. And they do talk to me. They do share with me. Listen, they're not, I love you, mommy.
Right. They're real boys. They're real men. They're not like, you sent me this
they grew up
text
in
message.
Manhattan. Like I still message them. I'll be like, quote me, but they do. And when I send a message, they're usually like, they'll send me a heart. They'll send me a great message. They'll send, love you. That's it. I
Yeah,
don't expect much more of that. I don't expect anything. I'm just
right.
doing it because I want them to have that piece of me.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I think it's a great book. It's a great format. It's creative. It's a great reminder to us that when we use this, we can use it for good. We can use it to build a better relationship with our children, let them know what we're doing, inspire them, console them, comfort them, be there for them, uh, which is just a few taps of the keyboard away. The name of the book by Tammy Cohen is Text Messages to My Sons, Connecting Deeply in a World of Devices. So instead of letting that come between you, let it bring you together. I think it's a great book and a great idea. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much, Logan, for having me. And thank you for letting me share my mission to spread light and to spread love. And it just takes one person at a time to do it. It's not, you don't need more than that. It's really easy. You have a phone, you have a device, you can do it. It's really simple.
Exactly, exactly. Wonderful. Tammy, thank you. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.